Alrighty, good morning, my friends. It is Friday, February 7th, 2025. We had a little bit of a jump in volatility there when that news dropped about 30 minutes ago here, but still kind of petering out right around the major high from yesterday, which is our major roadmap level at 05 half, right? So let's go back and see what happened yesterday. I have to say yesterday was really choppy. And we basically just kind of meandered back and forth between 05 half, which was the high of the morning, and the roadmap level at 60.89. And it just kind of petered back and forth and then eventually broke lower later in the day. So I want to look at this opportunity you had as we were doing our pre-market yesterday, and I did broadcast it live onto Twitch, so pretty much anyone in the world could have watched. And we talked about this very level right here at 61.05 half. And I spent a lot of time explaining to you guys why 61.05 half is a very important level on the S&P, right? So when we're going to just kind of go dial through here and see what we were looking at yesterday. So I want to talk about nailing the high of the day. Again, taking on almost no risk and getting a pretty decent pullback. So coming into the open yesterday, if you guys recall, we were looking at all these bearish signals up or as price was testing around 05 half in the pre-market session, right? So we had hourly bearish signals up there. If I went to say my 15-minute chart and we go all the way back to yesterday, we had 15-minute bearish signals as we were pushing up in there. We had 30-minute bearish signals hourly. We even had a daily potential bearishness from the high of the overnight session as we came into yesterday. Now, that is just the signals. If we actually look at the level itself and scrutinize 61.05 half, you're going to go back into the historical charts here and see that price has had a lot of trouble at 05 half every time, or nearly every time they pushed up in there. And from a higher time frame perspective, you can see every time they pushed, or almost every time, they come right to 05 half and you get multiple hundreds of points pullbacks off of it, right? You can see it right there. You can see all the trouble in here before it popped through, came to the next roadmap level and then sold off and then used the back end of it 2 times. We see the hold here. We see the breakthrough and the pullback to the bounce. We see this major failure back in December of last year, right off 05 half. Right, and you keep going forward and you see same thing, 05 half, pull back, break through, pull back, use it as support for the next 100-point bounce. You see the gap opening right there at 05 half. You see price coming right to it all through January here and failing right off of it. And when we came in yesterday, this is what we were talking about. And I kept telling you, 05 half is a very strong level. And it's not surprising that when we came into the overnight session, coming into the open, it rejected off of it once again. So you had a beautiful opportunity yesterday where every time frame, I'm talking 3-minute, I'm talking 15-minute, 30-minute, hourly, 4-hour, daily, all were cluing in for a potential pullback from 05 half. And what happened here on the short time frames as we pushed into 05 half about 3 minutes before the open? Beautiful bearish divergence up off the high with the 512 tick chart. Again, I got in right off of it. I don't know if you guys remember, I was just talking about all this setup. Doesn't mean I didn't have a short sitting right there, right? So we had a beautiful short opportunity before the market opened, and that was it. That's all you had to do for the whole day. It never came back, and you would have got the entire sell-off down to the low of the day, which, by the way, was our roadmap level, right? So from 60.70, the low where you should have been taking profit in front of these areas, all the way up to 61.05 half. You took no risk. I mean, it went through by 2 or 3 ticks there, maybe a point max, and you should have gotten a 35-point sell-off. So that was probably the best thing you could have done yesterday. And everybody was here. This was broadcast to the public, so anyone in the world could have watched, saw me telling you guys 05 half, 05 half, everything's lining up, and you could have got yourself the high of the day. Now, does that mean that every morning when we have really good clues for a certain direction and we're testing a level that it's going to rotate and never come back? No, right? That's what trading is all about. It's very difficult and you don't know what's going to happen next. But when things line up and you have a really good case for something, Sometimes that is how you nail the major rotation of the day. You have all the signals lining up. You're coming into a major area of support and resistance. You get a little short time frame bearish signal as we're testing. And by the way, if you look at the 3-minute here, and we look at what that looked at like as we were testing into, let's go back to yesterday here. Here's the open. As we were pushing right up into 05 half, as I was telling you a couple minutes before the open here about this level, there's the 3-minute bearish divergence as we're testing into the level. So the 3-minute showed you a lot of divergence. And again, that 512 chart, which is the super zoomed in chart, gave you the same local bearish divergence on the high. So you had a great opportunity there to nail that. Now on the way down here, if we were to look at the market started pulling back, you did have that first tag into the fast moving average, but did not actually follow through, right? So if you shorted 100 quarter, 100 half right here, it did push to 02. So it did push through by just under 2 points. So you did have that opportunity. Hopefully not get stopped out because it didn't go more than 2 points through the level, and you would have got the rest of this little pullback. And hopefully, as I teach, you took profit just in front of 60.94.75 and you nailed the low, which ended up becoming the bounce back to your entry. Okay, if you missed that short out of the open, again, I didn't take it. I was already short. You got that play off the Hopal there to the tick. So again, putting a short in off FMA and off the next roadmap level at Hopal should have given you those little rotations. Again, they didn't follow through for much. This price came right back to the high in the morning, almost, right? And then it was just really wonky. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time in here scrutinizing all this stuff. It was just kind of back and forth. So if you were trying to be a trend guy as this was selling off, you probably got stopped out because it came to the top of the range, then came to the bottom of the range, and then came back to the top of the range. So it was messy. And you can see here, I tried 2 other trades. This trade only gave me a couple scalps. I got the 2-pointer off. I got the 4-pointer off. And I did get filled. This is the amazing part. I did get filled basically to the tick, which what I love about this type of stuff is I know I get in and I'm basically like right within 2 or 3 or 1 point. And typically that's where you're going to get the rotation and get the push. And I was hoping for that push down into the close and that next roadmap level to get a larger trade-off. But as you can see, didn't quite get that far. So I got the scalp. Again, got filled to the tick off the FMA. And got maybe 1 tick of risk. And then I tried the short off the Hopal here, and I got stopped. So you can see we're starting to sell off. We're starting to get down below the VWAP. We start to get the crossover. There's the tag of the FMA. Good try. Aggressive entry. That's the most aggressive thing you could have tried. And again, it wasn't just the FMA. We did have the double top bearish divergence off the roadmap level at 94.75. So you had that, and then we came back up, and I noticed we had our swing. We were in this bearish orientation. I put the next short to the tick off the Hopal there, and I didn't wait for a divergence. I was looking for the market to come in, test into it, and continue in the bearish end, and then they popped through by 3 or 4 points. So I got a kind of a quick full stop out, and then it went right where I wanted it to go. So I got stopped out, I got a little winner, and then I got a big winner, and it was a pretty good day. And as you can see, continue to just parry around, hold the back end of VWAP, but again, super messy. There's a bearish divergence off the 200 for your pullback, so you could have got a little scalp off. But again, just super messy in here. You do see some notable rotations in here, but super messy, right? There's the tag of the Hopal that time. But almost every other time in here, it was getting a little messy. So I kind of, after this happened, and it was still just kind of meandering in here, I didn't trade anymore. I just accepted that I had a decent morning, and it was a little too choppy for my liking. And sure enough, for another hour or 2 or 3, the market chopped and chopped and chopped. So I'm not going to scrutinize all these things in here. It was just messy, even though they did hold the levels perfectly in some instances. So then we get the sell-off later in the day. And so we break through the major swing low of the morning. come down in. Notice that there is a little hesitation at the first roadmap level here where we start to get a bounce, and there's even a bullish divergence on that swing. So it maybe was a long opportunity for you if you were looking for that long, but it didn't get much. It didn't even get to the fast moving average and rolled back over. And you can see hold, but there was just too much strength to the downside. It even happened here off the first roadmap level, basically. It came here. Notice it just was a straight line, but then right here, right around 89, on a point on either side of it, it kind of coils and then bam, shoots to the next one where it coils. And then finally, there was no short opportunities this whole way down unless you shorted the back end of the previous daily close, which was kind of just a blind faith type of entry. So on the way down, the low of the day was our roadmap level within 2 ticks. So you can see here's another example of a day where we nail the high of the day to the tick or within 2 or 3 ticks, and then the low of the day within 2 or 3 ticks. So there was, each roadmap level is an opportunity. We know that because typically if there's a rotation, it's right around one of our roadmap levels. So if you blindly bought it looking for that bounce, you nailed the low of the day and got a 20, 30, 40 point push from there, right back to the roadmap level that held the market down out of the open. So if you missed the low of the day trying to capture that to the tick rotation, you had a lot of long opportunities as the market started to look like it was going to change the phase, right? We got the swing high, the lower swing high in the market was broken to a new swing high. We were making these higher lows. We were getting through the roadmap level, which should have been a resistance if we were in a heavy market to continue going lower. We got through the 200. So there were clues here that this might be the bounce back up into the volume from earlier in the morning. And if you were to try and play that again, you had the pullback to the tick, to the roadmap level with bullish divergence here. So if you recognized that we found some strong support down here, by the way, there were some higher time frames giving us a nice bullish signal off the roadmap level. You could have got in on the pullback here, which really would have just been a play of the 50%, right? When you get into a new trend and we find support from a level, typically you get that leg out, you have the market come back into the 50 to 61.8, and then it launches out to the new high, right? So that is kind of that textbook setup. Did you have a level sitting there to the tick other than a fib you drew? No. So the fib, there's that 50% textbook retracement for the push to the new high. So you could have bought that, but I'm saying that if you waited a little bit, it came right back into the roadmap level to the tick with the bullish divergence where you had a little bit more edge for rotation. And then from there, you captured the 30, 40 point push to the high of the day. So again, nailing the low of the day, nailing the high of the day is just something we can do in this type of market analysis, right? We know the levels are typically the levels that are going to be the lower the high of the day. And we know we have signals which then bolsters our argument for a direction or a reversal in the market. And again, everything lined up on every time frame for the bears at the open, which is why I was trying to short the market over here. And then we did have some higher time frame bullish signals, including I think the 3-minute, which is important for this bounce. And then on the way up, if you were to look for some long opportunities, you had the pullback to the roadmap level to the tick. And then as they got through the previous daily close, there was a bullish divergence on that little micro pullback. So you had that. And then once we got through Hopel to the upside, big major bullish divergence, and there was the fast moving average. So that right there, beautiful textbook setup. As we're getting really strong here, kind of pushing in a straight line, you saw we were pulling back to the fast moving average. You saw the potential bullish divergence starting to form as we got into the level right here. And if you would have bought the level, how much risk did you take? 1 tick. It pulled back into it 1 tick, hopefully filled your position. And then you got the pop at the end of the day, right to the next roadmap area where you should have took profit for your 6 or 7 point long. And then you can see we peter out right at 05 half again. I don't need to mention that level anymore. and sold off at the end of the day. Again, bouncing right around that roadmap level at 78 to come up. And then there was one last short opportunity, and to me, that was the failure off of the 200 here. But as you can see, didn't get you much. You got your scalp off. You got 2, 3, 4 points out of it. Actually, you did get 5-point pullback off of it, and then it came back. So a little scalp. And that brought us here into the overnight session, where once again, the bulls have been contending with 61.05 half all night long. Right? You see them peeking into it, failing, peeking into it, and failing. And now, just now, we had our news release, and they peaked up through it again, only to fail back down. And as you can see now, as we're coming close to the open here, we have a hold right off 50% of the previous day, our roadmap level being 89, just a tick away from it. That's the low of the overnight session now, or at least in the last couple hours for this push. And so you've got a bullish opportunity off the roadmap level, again, taking on maybe 2 points of risk. And it's now up 10, 20 points as I speak. And there, my friends, was one final long opportunity in the last half hour or so, right off VWAP on the pullback. I mean, quite textbook stuff here. Obviously a choppy market, so you had to kind of just have faith in the signal, faith in the level. We did have Hopel, VWAP, 200 moving average, and the bullish divergence all sitting right there, and there's that naked swing right there. So pretty good opportunity. How much risk did you take if you took the level long? You took on less than 2 points of a pullback, and again, have pushed up to this high right now. So that's the review here for the day, and we're going to jump up to the higher time frames now and see what they have to say for this morning.